Guys, I'm back with another video, and I just tried to record it. I was only like 2 minutes in, but then I was doing my ramble shit before I even started. So I was like, bro, get to the main point, then ramble. And if people want to cut off the video, they can, but let's get the main topic out of the way, okay? Gosh, I wish I wasn't such a rambler. Look at me already going. All right, title of the video, I don't know, expectations, reality, feelings not met, things like that is what I'm talking about today. So, as I told you guys, I got 2 contracts going into the new year, finally going from zero money to actual money. And it's like, you think, listen, I had no expectations. I had no expectations on how it'd feel. I just knew, like, light at the end of the tunnel when I do all this, like going back to school. I told you guys, like, dropping out and then bumming around and then finally going back and doing everything I needed to do. I was like, wow, I'm finally, like, light at the end of the tunnel. I got the contract. I did all this shit. I killed all these interviews. I did this, and I thought I'd feel like the fucking man. And I don't feel like shit. I feel like, all right. And that's going to be upsetting for some people to hear. But, I had this conversation with my girlfriend last night. She's a lawyer. She makes good money. And, this is also because the world's fucked up, right? She's like, damn, I'm a lawyer and I can't afford to live. And I'm just like, she's fucked up over there. And I'm just thinking to myself too. I'm like, damn, I just did all this shit. My mom's like, yo, you gotta celebrate, da-da-da-da. Because, I passed my test. I got the contract. And I'm just like, she's like, aren't you so happy? And I'm just like, man, I'm not even that happy. I don't even care for real. I'm just like moving on to the next thing. I'm like, this shit don't even feel like it weight or nothing. And then I'm over here sitting here dealing with the implications of that. Like, damn, the fuck, like, so when am I gonna find value and meaning in? If this shit didn't hold any weight to me, which is, the funny thing is, I was talking with my friend for years, and we were like, we know if we play the game. We had this conversation for years. We said, we know if we play the game, we're going to kill it. But we know it's not going to feel like anything. We've said that, right? We knew it. But there's a level of when you do anything, right? There's a level of, what am I trying to say? There's a deeper level where you feel like maybe what I'm saying is not true. Well, I hope what I'm saying isn't true. So then when we get to these contracts, I get to all this, and I'm like, damn, I don't feel no different. Knew it. Like, goddamn. So what am I going to look forward to? What am I going to look excitement towards? And then the real thing is, then you get all fucked up. So that's what I've been thinking about all week, right? But then I thought about it. Like, that's just the stepping stone. And I've said this before, and I saw Brute, and I just talked to my friend about it. I've said this before in a non-negative way, but I'm gonna repeat it because I've said it first, said it for years. But people on, I'm not as cool as these other people who, do cooler things than I do, But he was just basically like, every man who wants, a distinct type of man, which is what I said, a man who wants spiritual success, financial success. That's what I interpreted as, right? That's how I feel. A man like that, or a woman like that wants spiritual and financial success, nothing will ever be enough. I think when you have a kid, that will be, like, I think, like, this is my take on it, is when you get a partner, you have kids, that's like the only real shit. And that's the only thing that really matters. But like, you're going to always be chasing like outside of that, because unfortunately that is the reality where you need that outside life. So I'm just like, damn, of course while I'm recording a video, like everybody and their mom pulling up here. But you know, the reality we live in, you need an outside life. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, you need, like, there's no reality where you can't work nowadays in this world. Unless you and your partner make, I don't know, unless you came from a lineage where you guys don't have to work and y'all both make $1 billion. You know what I'm saying? In this life, both partners got to work. And guess what? You want to have some meaning in that. And I'm not saying I'm not going to have meaning, because I have opportunities from it. But I think you're going to always be chasing the next boom, boom, keep going, keep going. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think you can't even look. I think, this is what I'm telling you guys how I rationalized it, is I don't even think you can dwell on anything. I don't think you can dwell on it. I think you get the job, right? Let's say you get the job. You get the job. You don't think about the job anymore. You just do your very fucking best. You go in, you do your very best, you kill it every day, and that's it. And then whatever happens, happens. You level up. You keep going. But you don't, in the moment, you don't want to kill it, because if you think about, hey, where can this go? What can this lead to? Obviously, you want to plan for those next steps. But what I'm saying is you can't be like my two opportunities, right? Like, I'm a teacher, so it's like, do I end up becoming a professor? Do I end up becoming a principal? Do I go the esports route and I do, you know, the esports out of college, right? But it's like, if I worry about all that instead of worrying about just killing it, none of those opportunities are going to open up. You know what I'm saying? Because if all you're thinking about is, oh, I'm going to be let's say I came in with the mindset, I'm going to be a professor. Well, whatever I'm doing in the now, I'm not going to be focused, because all I'm going to be thinking about is, when am I going to be a professor, right? So I'm going to neglect, how about this? I may not neglect it, but I'm going to, a better word maybe is say, I might half-ass it, because I already know I'm going to be a professor. I can't think like that. You just got to stay in the present. You got to be hyper present, I think. And I think that's what fucked me up. Because I'm like, damn, I thought, boom, I signed this shit. I'm about to be this, be this dude. Nope. Stay hyper present. Who gives a fuck about your status, right? Don't give a fuck about your status. Don't give a fuck about your wealth. None of that. The people who are, it's just like, look, rich people aren't wearing Chanel belts. You know who's wearing Chanel belts? Poor people. You know what I'm saying? We do the opposite of what we don't have. If you don't have status, you're going to show that you have status. You don't got class, well, you're going to try to act a way like you have like it's all the same thing. You're going to act like you have education. You're going to act like you have these things. So I'm saying for the third person perspective, right? So a person's going to be viewing you. You're now being observed. Once you enter the world, which is why I said in the one video, I hope this is all making sense. Like I said in the one video, if you're not playing the game, by you not observing others and by not recognizing that you're being observed, you're not playing the game. But how you win at that game is being hyper fucking present. They hate that. Think about what everybody else is around you. Everybody around you is in depression or anxiety mode. And the reason why? They're living in the future or they're living in the past. If you can master being in the present, but then at quick glances, step into the future just for a moment and come back to the present, fucking golden. And I'll explain. Hyper present means hyper focused on the now, knowing all the shit you got to do is right now. You got to get it done. You'll be the most productive version of you. But what I'm saying is hyper version of you, or future version of you, is making sure in interactions, in key interactions. I'm talking about ones where, I don't know, ones that are like talking to your boss, talking to your people at work. Make sure every engagement is strategically, I know that sounds fucked up, but that's how you got to do it. Not with like since I'm a teacher and stuff, I'm not gonna be in the future for those. You got to be hyper present for them, because then students feel your hyper presence, like, you know, and that you care and shit. But it depends on the certain circumstances of the questions and the dialogue. But you want to be future present so that you're like, how are they viewing me right now? What's the best appropriate response to how they're viewing me? Right? Every conversation is a battle of perceptions and ideologies, but people don't realize it because they go into every interaction is like a Pokemon battle. You see the trainer, you lock eyes. It's like the first one to look away, right? All that shit is real. You don't want to think it's real. And listen, I don't want to think it's real, but it is real, because first, I'm not saying the look away shit, but yes, that is a thing. Looking in somebody's eyes. Looking in someone's eyes, boom, step one. Really listening to what they're saying. Trying to beat them to the punch. Beat them to their point of what they're really saying. One thing I do when I can see through what somebody's objective of what they're actually asking or what they're really talking about, I cut the fat out. I pose a question or give an answer or dialogue that will skip 4 steps into the next thing. And then what that does is it beats them to their point, and they go, damn, is he like a mind reader? Or damn, how does he know what I was thinking? But you do that because it's subtly, it sounds like I'm fucked up, but I'm not. It's just, it sounds, if we're at the end of the day, if we're going to be honest, if you're good at reading people and you know how to conversate and things like that, you can beat to the punch, you can skip out of the fat. But anyway, what it does is it sets them back. And then now you have the upper hand in all conversations. But then, hold on, then they view you differently in all sorts of avenues, status-wise, class-wise. All that can be negated as soon as you talk to somebody. That's why, I know this was on a tangent, but I said I want to start on a tangent, start in the beginning and go on a tangent. But that's why, you want to be your best self when you're out in these games, in these worlds. Because, yes, you might not be able to have the money to represent yourself in a way, but the minute you can get in a conversation with somebody, conversation is the highest form of intelligence, If you're able to hold a conversation and get to a point, that person's fucked. I don't even know how I got there on the conversations and like Pokemon battle and shit like that, but I think I really mentioned it because I understand. I said it because when you get to these places and you view yourself a certain way, like you should have status, you should have class, you should have wealth, don't ever think about that shit. Stay who you are, stay in the present, have great conversations with people, and it will carry you through whatever you need to get through. Because at the end of the day, conversation is the only way people can get their mind changed, their point of view changed on you, right? I can judge you right away, right? You can judge me right away. I remember somebody was like, oh man, you look very, it was like some old dude. He was like, oh, I thought you were going to be very like standoffish. Talk to him, he goes, you're actually a really good guy. You're really nice, talkative, blah, 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 blah. Right? Remember somebody said, I thought you, he kind of dissed me. He was like, oh, I thought you were very like kind of dumb. And he goes, and he talks to you and he's like, you're actually smart as fuck. And it's like, yeah. That's, you can't, until you get in a conversation with somebody. trying to think if there's anything else I was thinking about. Yeah, pride. I had a little bouts of pride. A couple, for a day. Pride will make you self-sabotage. Pride is just spicy fear. Zesty fear. That's why it's a 7 deadly sin, you know what I mean? Because pride will make you sabotage something. Man, that shit hurt my pride. Fuck everybody. I'll blow this bitch up. You know what I mean? But then in tangent with, okay, it was about money, right? So even if I had the money to do the thing, guess what? I'd still not feel any different. Because you know why? It would just strike my pride. Oh yeah, I had that. And then I'd keep moving on. Right? It's just like how I said. I went to the interview, killed the interview, got the job. Didn't feel any better because I already knew. You know what I'm saying? It's fucked up. It's really fucked up. The way your brain, your minds will, do the things. Like, it don't even matter. I'm not trying to make this video too long, but I do in a sense, because this might be my last video for a minute. But I'm just saying, I'm like, damn, pride will fuck you up. You can't have, it's so crazy to get. I think I'm talking about all the tangent shit because of how crazy the reality is of like viewing yourself. Like, yeah, you're supposed to gas yourself up, right? You're supposed to talk yourself up. You're supposed to believe in yourself, all that. I'm not saying you're not, but I'm saying you can't go into any situation thinking that, because it will fuck up the current present now. Because if you don't go into every situation the way you are and the way you've been doing things, you'll just be like, man, I can get away with it. I can get away with it. Right? Like, even my girl was like, because I was telling her, I was like, damn, like, I'm about to be a busy first year and I'm going to have to do all these things. And, I got to worry about killing it and stuff like that. She's like, even if you didn't go that hard, you wouldn't kill it. I mean, like, you'd be fine. And that's the thing. That is the reality, right? And that's a lot for a lot of people. We could go in and half-ass the things and we'd be great and we'd still be good at it. But that's the problem. You don't want to go into the situation thinking like that. I want to go in the situation giving it my all and not being like, oh, in the back of my mind, I can just scrape by and skate by and things like that. I hope that makes sense. Because sometimes your ego and your mind will like, I don't know, they'll like trick you in a sense. Like, I don't know. I can't explain it. I hope what I'm saying is translating in, and somebody with a Brandon translator can just like translate what I'm saying the best. But what I'm saying is like, all this shit is just a mind game. And you have to trick your mind. You have to stay one step ahead of your mind by being present. That's why you can't live and be thinking in the future and in the past. You're not able to live. Because then you're hyper calculating every move, every decision. That's taking you away from the human experience. Like, for example, these months flew by for me because I had to take the test. I had to pass the test. I had to get a job, get 2 jobs. Then I had to do, get interviews and study for the test. Like, I was just nonstop, just moving. So it never forced me. I could never get out of the situation of, I never got out of the situation of thinking about what's going to happen. I just had to keep doing. So when you're in a situation of doing, your mind can't come in and say, hey, Brandon, what are you going to do? Brandon, what are you going to do when you fail? Brandon, what are you going to do when you succeed? Nope. You don't even give it any time to ask those questions. Your mind's really against you sometimes. It is. Because you got to remember, your mind is something that was programmed by, like, the TV when we were little and subconsciously programmed over time. But then like your spirit and your will, what is your, like that's like you. That's like your true self. So you're constantly in that battle until you can fight against your mind. But, 20 years of indoctrination will do that to you. It'll whoop your ass. Like imagine what the Zoomers are going through. I'm literally scrolling yesterday on Instagram and it's like, tired of doom scrolling? And I bet you all the Zoomers are like, yeah, I am just doom scrolling. Because the world's going to end anyway. So think about that. Think about our subconscious messaging growing up for millennials. Millennial subconscious was like our subconscious was like money, wealth, ego, and then like self-destruction was like the big messages growing up. Like the main themes of everything was like what a man can do when he has nothing to lose. And then it's also like when a man has everything to lose, right? Those are the two concepts of what we grew up with. It was either you have the world or you don't have the world. If we're going to be honest, that's kind of like the main messages of millennial content. Now, Zoomer content is you have nothing. You'll never have nothing. So then what I'm trying to say is when they grow older, when you grow older and they're trying to be successful, well, they're going to be like, well, all I ever knew was I'll never have shit and I'll never be shit. So then when they finally get shit, they're going to be like, do I deserve it? Right? I don't have those thoughts of do I deserve it? But what I just said, I have the thoughts of the ego. Man, I want more. I thought this was going to feel like the fucking bleh, right? Like I thought this was going to feel like the fucking bleh, bleh, bleh. You know what I mean? But it don't. It don't feel like that. And that's when you got to go back and you got to sit back down and you go, you know what? This is all a part of the game to make you buy into the game. And there's levels to that game. Oh, you don't like the way you feel, Brandon? Well, it's because, Brandon, you're not going hard enough. You ain't doing enough yet, Brandon. Go harder. Give more. Right? And then you do that. And then you give up your family life. And then you give up all this. And then you go and you get old and you're like, what the fuck did I do all that for? I think that's mostly it. I think I just really wanted to talk about like, we can do it. Like I said, we can't hold the expectations of what it's going to feel like. And who gives a fuck what it feels like? No, at the end of the day, it's good for you. Excuse me. It's good for me that I did everything I did. Who cares about how it gives a fuck how does it feel? Feelings ain't paying your fucking bank account. Feelings ain't paying your fucking bills. You feel me? Like, that's like when people say, like, when, like in sports, they'll be like, man, I don't want to play for that team because that guy's a dick. Oh, who gives a fuck about that guy being a dick? You're making millions of dollars and you can't deal with the guy being a dick? I'm recording all this shit in this video. I'm just getting it in, man. Just talking to myself. I hope everybody enjoyed this video. I don't really think there was anything else to add. I just think probably cut it off, honestly. I don't know. I just feel like I don't want people to get as fucked up, because like last thing I'll say is that I've also hit the wall where I remember I was the skinniest and most healthiest I've ever been. And I thought that was going to cure everything. And then I got there and I was like, man, that shit didn't do anything either. God damn. They'll have you think working out will fix everything. They'll have you thinking a job is gonna fucking fix everything. And guess what? Neither do. Don't fucking, just keep fucking doing your thing, killing this shit, being yourself, showing up every day authentically, and fucking being present 100% of the time. All right, you got this shit. I'll talk to y'all later.